What's up everybody, Couch Mills here, coming at you with a brand new Valorant video. And in this video, we gotta talk about patch 4.09. It just dropped and we got information about all the changes, including chamber changes, and the Sentinel role as a whole is being addressed in the future. They break that down, plus some competitive updates. So let's just run it down, break it all down. But go to the GameLeap website right now. If you are struggling to improve and you want to pop off and dominate, achieving Diamond, Immortal, or even Radiant, do yourself a favor and go check it out right now down below. Now, first off, in some minor changes, we do need to talk about Fade. For their Nightfall, they made it so there's a decreased amount of flickering textures on diagonal walls when casting Fade's ultimate, added VFX for additional clarity and visual impact. So this is just nice bug fixes and quality of life stuff. In addition to Siege, the VFX changed to the orb for a more dynamic presentation in 1 HP and Agent Select. Now next up, they want to talk about Chamber. Quote, right now, Chamber's trademark outperforms other Sentinel tools in both reliability and power, which feels inappropriate given the amount of defensive combat tools Chamber has spread across the rest of his kit. We believe Chamber's identity is defined by his unique weapons and defense combat mobility, so we are decreasing his level of global flank protection / information and increasing counterplay on a single premium trap. This means Chamber will have to make a choice based on if he wants to play selfishly around his trademark or place it to help his teammates instead. Now, for the changes, they did the trademark cost increase from 150 to 200, charges reduced from 2 to 1, and the audio range increased. Now, this was a very controversial leaked change, and a lot of people were so against it that I was surprised they pushed it through. But ultimately, this is how Riot has typically approached the game with balance. They want to maintain Chamber's power level in his unique way and make him specifically unique to what he does, and they want to take away the power that overlaps with other characters. Now, does that technically threaten his role in the role of Sentinels? Maybe, but it also could be like seen as it's pushing the bounds of what the Sentinel role could be. But ultimately, I want to hear your take on these changes. How do you feel about them? Do you like them? And are you still going to pop off in main chamber? Let me know down below. Now, they dig into more about Sentinels altogether in this note. Quote, when we think about the Sentinel role, we think about its overall ability to keep map control and defend space. We believe that Sentinels and Sentinel players should have many options and methods to control and defend, whether it's through the use of Sage's reactive slow abilities, Cypher's flank watching gadgets, or defensive-oriented combat and guns like Chamber. Like all of our agents, it's important to carve out sharp strengths and weaknesses for Chamber in the roster. If you take him for his weapon arsenal and disengage, you should feel as if you're giving up a strength, like trap or stall, that his peers excel at. As usual, all eyes are now on Chamber changes and we'll adjust to see if he suffered disproportionately on defense relative to attack. And in a lot of ways, Chamber's alarms were actually incredibly powerful and efficient, even just as much so or more so at guarding flank than the other Sentinels. And while those characters might need buffs to compensate, taking Chamber in this direction, it's definitely interesting to say the least, and I'm actually curious about how Chamber is going to perform in situations where normally he might struggle now, like playing attack for instance, and not having multiple flank trips. I'm really curious in how pro teams especially are going to adapt to these changes. And next up, we got to talk about competitive updates. They added a party lead transfer, so you can now change the lead of your party. Current party leader can right-click the player name and transfer the responsibility to and make them leader in a drop-down menu, and they added another small tweak to the updates in the UI. But all in all, this is just a nice quality of life change. I mean, it's really annoying how you have to disband a party and remake one, so it's a decent quality of life change. Last up, they added an eSport feature that added the observer ability to toggle scoreboard on and off, another nice quality of life change for esports altogether. And they fixed several bugs involving Jett's Tailwind, which would sometimes fail to cast when used immediately after curving a cloudburst smoke. And they also fixed a bug where Jett's ultimate indicator would sometimes stay active after firing all the kunai. Now, honestly, this patch didn't have a ton in it, but it really targeted the character that I think is just top of the meta right now in Chamber, and it talked about their design philosophy involving Sentinels for the foreseeable future. I really want to hear your opinion on all this. I think it's going to be a little controversial, but ultimately, what do you think needs to happen next? What big changes do you think need to be happening next? What characters do you want to see buffed or nerfed? I want to hear all about it down below, and go to the GameLeap website if you want to pop off and dominate and click every freaking head in your games. Do yourself a favor, go check it out right now down below.